So how do we make decisions? Most of us rely on some form of interpretation of data and information based on traits such as intuition, experience, perception, judgment, gut feel, etc. However, behind all these traits is probability, a mental assessment of the likelihood of an event happening. When we interpret data, we give credence to various probabilities, even if they are qualitative. Sadly, this probability is colored by our experience or our limited exposure rather than reality. So let's see if this is true. Let me try a simple example. If every week lottery winners are paraded on TV and we only see the winners, we tend to believe that we too have a chance of winning and we would probably buy a ticket. Now, what if all the millions who did not win are also paraded along with the few winners? We would probably not buy a ticket because we see so many losers. Let's take another example. 10 lottery tickets priced at $1 each were offered to students. The price, the winner would get $20. Of the 30 students who participated, 24 purchased a ticket. That's 80%. Then another group were told that Big Joe, a student, had already purchased 9 tickets and they could buy the last available ticket. Only 8 students opted to buy the last ticket. That's 27% refused, because they all felt that Big Joe was almost certain to win. Note that your chances of winning under both scenarios was 1 in 10. Yet in one case 80% purchased a ticket, while in the other only 27% did. This is how framing of the problem impacts our decisions. In a well-known research study, people were asked to estimate the number of deaths in the US each year from causes such as tornadoes, fireworks, asthma, and drowning. And the average response was something like this. But the actual numbers were totally different. With tornadoes and fireworks, they overestimated significantly. Whereas with asthma and drowning, they underestimate, because deaths due to tornadoes and fireworks get reported. But deaths due to asthma and drowning, being so common, are never reported. So we don't get an exposure to it, so we form our own opinions. We're in trouble again. Well, let's try a corporate scenario when we have multiple probabilities. Let's see if common sense can help us. A company is trying to get some raw materials from one of 3 nations in Africa: Angola, Congo, and Liberia. Intelligence reports suggest that political instabilities and ethnic tensions could disrupt contract fulfillment. The question is, can we make a common sense decision with no data or information? No. Even to use common sense, we need some data on risks and exposure. If so, what type of data are we seeking? Certainly, we would like to know something about the likelihood of these events happening. So let's put some numbers. Angola, there's a 25% chance of riots. Congo, there's a 30% chance of a coup. Liberia, there's a 35% chance of a new government. Can we now make a common sense decision? Maybe, but a bit risky, because we really don't know the impact of these events. So let's put some numbers on that too. Congo, which has a 25% probability of riots, might have an impact, say a 22% probability that we might still get 95% of the contract, 49% probability that we might only get 71% of the contract, and 29% probability that we might only get 43% of the contract. Angola and Liberia, we have similar data. Ladies and gentlemen, 21 data points now. Can we now make a common sense decision? Oops, we are struggling. One example with regard to multiple criteria. You and your spouse are retired and you're planning on moving to a more appropriate city in the US. How would you go about living? Well, you might think about crime, pollution, hospitals since you're getting a little old, price of housing, etc. So let's put down some criteria. Here I have 11 criteria. Let's get data for 7 cities in the USA. These are factual data from the internet. Can we now make a common sense decision on where to live? No. Too much information. We're facing information overload. The problem is not with the information. The problem is that we don't have a methodology to handle this. Company buying detergents might have the same problem. There are a multitude of criteria and plenty of information. We need to try to figure out how to make a decision. One last problem of common sense. Here are 3 people. Roger, who is married, is looking at Mary. Mary is looking at David, who is unmarried. Looking at this picture, is a married person looking at an unmarried person? A, yes, B, no, or C, need more information. I suggest you pause the video now and answer the question whether it's A, B, or C, and then proceed to see the rest of the story. When we present this to senior management, almost 99% of the time they say we need more information. We need to know if Mary is married or unmarried. But the truth is, it doesn't matter. Let's simulate this. If Mary is married, a married person is looking at an unmarried person. If Mary is unmarried, a married is looking at an unmarried. So we did not need more information, even though common sense told us we needed information. With all these examples, our common sense decision-making capabilities were not very convincing. Sure, we agree anyone can make a decision and live with the consequences. But it would be very difficult to defend such a decision in a corporate setting. Your only hope is to incorporate analytics to reinforce your common sense. We encourage you to visit our website or feel free to write to me at author@XpertUS.com.